Yes, I think we were talking off camera, and you had mentioned that in Sparta, that they used to just throw people away.
That's right. And what do we remember Sparta for? You know, there was no culture, no poetry, no art. What do we remember Sparta for? It was a warlike, uncivilized society, really. And the gentle people, the people that might have given an excuse for love, cherishing, and compassion between the citizens of Sparta were eliminated. It was a hard, harsh society into which Sparta children were born and raised. And the women were producers of warriors, and the men were to be the warriors. Mm-hmm. And that was the extent of it. I think that we have in some ways moved into that kind of a utilitarian orientation. We want people to be human doings rather than human beings. We truly, truly overemphasize this approach, and it reminds me in many ways of the beginning years of Nazi Germany.
Yes, I agree with this. A couple years ago, I believe Derek Humphrey wrote the book, The Final Exit, mm-hmm. and this was a bestseller.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, what was really disgusting is it was one of the earliest books to come out in large print for the visually impaired.
That's incredible.
He made it accessible to those with vision impairment. And he has marketed that approach very consciously, I think, to people with disabilities. And you see, that is another just truly odious aspect of this culture of death. If assisted suicide is so compassionate, you know, why is it that people talk about limiting its use to those of us with disabilities or disease? Mm-hmm. You know, if it is so compassionate, and of course, now Dr. Kevorkian has stepped over the edge. Apparently, one of these latest people that he has assisted toward annihilation was so disabled that there's question about whether she could have pushed the button herself. So I think that probably he himself has gone beyond this assisting to suicide and has actively, or encouraged someone else actively to kill.
What do you think is in it for the Derek Humphreys of the world and the Jack Kevorkians? What is this that they're so enamored by this culture of death rather than the culture of life?
Well, some people have a morbid, a more morbid streak. And my understanding from reading of some of Dr. Kevorkian's early work, you know, he never had a live patient really as a practicing pathologist to work on. He worked on cadavers, he worked on dead bodies, and he was intrigued with injecting the blood of dead people into living people or animals to see what would happen. There is a morbid streak, I think, to him, less so than with Humphrey. But I think that both of them tend to be kind of bristly people. Mm-hmm. I know on one occasion I had an opportunity to observe and question in a non-critical manner, because I felt I wanted to get to know the enemy, a highly placed person within the Hemlock Society. And I was amazed to discover that he had been divorced a number of times. He was very prickly.
No, is this Kevorkian or Derek?
No, this was another person, less well known, but also very much an advocate for the culture of death. Mm-hmm. And in meeting him and talking with him over the period of maybe 20 minutes, I felt so sorry for him, because he was such a miserable, unhappy person and so incapable of projecting any kind of warmth. And I thought, well, maybe he has reason to fear. You know, some of us make ourselves very unlovable. I had the chance to shake Dr. Kevorkian's hand when he was trying to get in early and miss all of us in front of the National Press Club. And I did hold on to his hand because I did want to talk to him. I wanted to try to build a bridge to him. I tried to project, warmth. I tried to project, this concern of wanting to be connected to him. And I really had the feeling that I was holding on to something that was connected to one of those black holes in the sky, just cold and just absorbing energy. There was nothing coming back. And that's unfortunate. I think that he is a very, very miserable man.
And unfortunately, I think Derek Humphreys, if I'm correct, his wife committed suicide. Is that right?
Right.
So I mean, I think some of these people have tragedies.
Right, and left a very pitiful message.
Who had cancer, but he was always encouraging her to
end her life. To end her life. One of the early patients of Dr. Kevorkian was a woman. I heard an interview with her husband after she had committed suicide, and the interviewer said, didn't you try to talk her out of this? Didn't you want her to continue to live? She wasn't that disabled. That's the weird thing. The public just doesn't seem to realize that most of these people that Dr. Kevorkian has assisted to death have not been that severely disabled. But this man was asked, what did you say to your wife? Did you encourage her to live? And he said, oh, no, no, no. That was her decision. And I still get chills when I think of that, because to me, marriage is a partnership. Marriage is a situation in which you cherish the other person. And just because she could no longer anticipate that she would be serving him meals 3 times a day was really no reason to say, I don't have anything to say with whether she lives or dies. If she is depressed and wants to go, that's her business, it's not mine. That, to me, is inhuman, almost. It's not my view of God's plan for us. It's not my view even of our plan for ourselves in a civilized society.
Yes. I recall that one of the latest victims was just overweight and suffered from being tired, and if I'm correct, the husband had a court order against him.
And he had been arrested.
He had been arrested for hurting her.
For assault and battery. Yes. I had heard indirectly, although I didn't read it in the paper, that he was a member of the Hemlock Society, which adds another dimension to this. Did he really, did he indirectly? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we will find out. Part of the thing that distresses me is how little press investigative work has been done on these people. It's as if somebody says they have a disability and they don't want to be out of control. And then it's like the media says, oh, well, of course, if I wasn't in control of my life, oh, there would be no reason to live.
That's right.